Hi, I'm Andrew Armstrong. Welcome to the Back Office Teardown Lab. Today we're going to be having a look at this Best View field monitor. And this is the BSY703-M model. And I'll tell you a little bit of history on why I've got this monitor. And that's because I use a camera, which you're looking at this, this scene with. And sometimes when you're using these cameras on various rigs, or even now where I've got it actually assembled above my head, it's got a little screen on it that tilts, which is fantastic, but frankly, I'd like a monitor straight there in front of me to save me looking around. And these field monitors are really great for that because often they can take in more formats than most computer monitors. And the reason is computer monitors accept an RGB signal on their DVI input, whereas these cameras output a YUV signal, and that can be a problem. Now, my last field monitor did expire. Unfortunately, its back panel lighting system seemed to fail, and despite changing the board, it didn't work, and then I changed the actual panel itself and that didn't work. So I decided to cut my losses and get one of these. So this is a kind of a half teardown, half unboxing really, because this is brand new and I don't really want to wreck it. So we'll go in as far as we can without breaking it, and perhaps I'll be able to even show you the output of the camera, Doctor Who style. So inside, just the usual wrappings. Here's the monitor itself, and these are quite common. If you look on eBay, you'll find many different kinds of these. They all look the same. They have various features. I think this is supposed to have certain features that are very useful for what I do. Hello! And these features are features that allow you to flip the screen upside down and mirror. So if you're using it inside an auto cue, for example, you might need to flip it and mirror it in various ways just to be able to read the writing on the screen. So these are very useful for that because often you can only mount them in certain ways. On the bottom you can see a standard threaded adapter that you can use most monitor mounts with. And then there's this sort of brackety thing which is great for using in cars. Power, HDMI, and a VGA input. There's a little jack in here. I'm not quite sure what that is, but maybe we'll figure it out once we go through the wires. Underneath here is a hood. And this is a hood system designed to go on the monitor so that you can look at it in the sun. And it doesn't fit. I've actually complained to the vendor of this and they're sending me a new one, so we won't really go into that. But you can imagine when you're using these outside, you can see right now there's a lot of shine on the screen. I know there's a screen protector on it with the glare, but to stop that glare you can look at it. Here is a bracket, which is kind of, I'm not sure if it's a standard format like one of the Visa ones, but again, that's just to allow you to mount it in a more rugged way to something. Let's see if there's more fittings in here. Indeed there will be. Ah, here we go, this is nice. This is a power lead to slave its power off something else. Your AV leads. Oh, that's what that jack was. So that's for your composite input. So you've got composite, HDMI and DVI. Oh, these are various battery adapters. So if you can imagine you've got a particular format of camera battery, normally my camera isn't supported on these. So this bracket actually hooks onto that metal bracket we saw earlier, which is here. There we go. And that will live on the back of your monitor. So we've got a variety of those. We won't worry about them. What's in the box? It's a little heavy box. Ah, there we go. That's just a traditional cold shoe adapter. I think you've seen one of my previous videos where I reviewed a bunch of these. These don't get much love, but they really are useful. HDMI wire, nice and slinky. Oh, brilliant. Look, it's an actual HDMI to one of those mini HDMIs. So my camera uses this one, which is a really teeny one. And my laptop uses this size, so it's quite great that they actually gave you a wire. It might not be the one I need, but it's certainly one I could use. And an AC adapter with the dreaded 2-pin American plug. That's a 12 volt 2 amp output, so at least I've got a fairly good chance of finding a replacement for that. among my box of stuff. In fact, I think I'm looking at one right now on the desk. It looks absolutely identical. Let me just show you this. This is a 5-volt version. Very similar casing though, right? No, it's definitely molded. I was just eyeballing this plug to see if it actually comes off so I could plug it in here. So let's shift all this aside for now. So that's the monitor itself. Let's have a quick look. If I can get into it, and I can. Four screws. So if you look on eBay, this one was around £80, which was rather expensive. But allegedly it has certain features on it that make it useful for camera work. And they escape me right now what they are. But I think it might have focus highlighting and a few of those things. Does have a manufacturer sticker on here with a QA, so let's hope that I don't ruin that and it breaks. So I'm just gently, it's got a very nice kind of matte finish on here. I kind of feel if I'm a little bit too abusive with it, I'm going to damage that. So I'm just going to slowly work at it with a nail. Let's see if there's a bit of force. Oh, there we go. Gentle force there. So previous panels like this that I've used have had touch screens, so they've had an extra controller board normally for that to convert. There we go. Ready for the moment of truth. So pretty traditional really. It's trying to actually pull off the PCB. It's a very tight fit. They really shoehorned this in. Bearing in mind I've never even tried this, so it will be annoying to break it this early on. So there's your panel with all the various layers. This is the power leads to the inverters. Actually, no, well, it's a combination, I should think. Certainly controlling the buttons on the front. So this wire here has LED-R, ground, LED-G, and then ADK, IR, and 3V3. So this is going to the front panel. And yeah, some of these do come with remote control, so perhaps that may still actually have the infrared receiver in there. It's got the window for it. I've got a whole collection of these remotes, so I'll have a go at that later. And this other connector here, which is going to what I thought was the inverter, maybe it is, it says SEL, HPR plus, ground, HPL, again HPL plus, so two pluses. And then there's a speaker, so it's got built-in speaker, which is great, especially if you're in the field and you want to do playback. Is it worth the £80? You'll find something of similar spec for about £30 without all of the camera battery gubbins. I would say if you find those, they're probably worth the £30. I don't think this is worth the £80. It's quite underwhelming when it arrived. So let's have a look at this chip here. It's an RTD 2660H, and that's doing everything. So that's obviously taking all those video coming in and manipulating it, doing what it wants. It doesn't seem to have too many glue chips around it, so there's no like EEPROM and stuff, so it's probably a self-contained system in an ASIC or something that's been programmed, that's sole job is to do all this. And it could well be a standard chip that's inside TVs and the various sort of in-car entertainment systems. So it's kind of underwhelming really. I knew what to expect inside these because I've opened them up so many times now. They're very similar to your in-car DVD players, you know, the ones that go on the back of the kids' seats, the portable DVD players that you can buy. Well, you can still buy them, but they're not very popular now. But if you remember, they had the TFT screen built in and they fold out. Generic stuff, but very useful if you need one. So I'm just going to plop all this back together and then we'll fire it up. Look at this, look how bloody difficult this is to get in. That PCB needs to be in there, and you can see, looking at the top, how short it is. I'm not sure even how they managed to get it in the factory. They must have been really cursing on quality control, because I might even need to use tweezers here. Have a look. I think someone made a mistake when they were calculating this ribbon cable length. It's in, but is it in enough? Very difficult to put pressure on it. Nope, plopped straight out. Let's have one more go. I say let's have one more go as if I would give up after this. I'm just going to try it the once and give up. Well, actually, you know what? I think I'm just going to have to remove this PCB. I don't think they could have got it in like that. So if you guys are at uni doing a design course on electronic design, as I know some of you are, please bear this in mind, that somebody has to put this together. And I've worked at companies before that, look how far that went in. So that goes in really deep. There's no way I could have got that in without doing this. And I've worked in companies before where the actual design engineer, i.e. Muckins, has to assemble the first 50 units. And this is a great thing to do, because instead of just offloading it to production and saying, look guys, it's your problem, you're tasked with building this, I don't care, I'm just going to design it. The design engineer sitting there doing it 50 times is way more likely after the 5th time to start automating and improving the process, because he doesn't want to sit there and do the next 45 and take hours and hours doing it. And I always try to automate it. So whoever designed this really would have been in trouble. Okay, so that's the final screw. God, I just noticed something really weird, the weirdest thing I've ever seen. Do you see on this flexi, I'm not sure what I'm seeing here. It looks like it's almost bonded. These two contacts are bonded on here. That's so strange. Very unusual. So that's our unit back together. I'm going to pop the 4 screws in, because I'm always very confident in my work, and then inevitably I end up having to take them back out. Best view, LCD field monitor. Power consumption less than or equal to 11 watts. Operational voltage 7 to 24. That's great, that's a really huge voltage range. That's probably something else you get a little bit in these portable units that are made to operate on those wide voltage ranges, especially in cars and vehicles. So what have I got on my desk? I have this power supply, which is 5 volts. Let's have a go. Let's see if 5 volts will do the trick. Ooh. So far, so convincing. Source. AV1, AV2, VGA, HDMI. 2 AV sources. Need to check that wire. Although there's a connector here on the front. I don't know what that's for. Maybe that's a headphones. Oh, it's gone off. Volume, brightness, menu. Horizontal position, vertical position, and this is just stuff for the on-screen display. Annoyingly, it seems to turn itself off when it doesn't find a signal after a while. Tell you what, let's just see if we can plug this into the actual camera that I'm currently using. I'm pretty sure I can't do this live, so I'm going to stop it and then we'll come back. The unit's all hooked up now. I'm using this rather fat HDMI cable I had lying around. Not very suitable for camera use because it's so thick it's going to break something or drag your camera off the table. It's connected via this male-to-male adapter to this very short lead that I've got in the camera. And the reason you have short leads on the camera is because often you have these monitors mounted pretty near, so you don't want masses of cable lashed around. First things first, you'll notice you can get this rather cool Doctor Who effect, which I think we'll play with briefly. Look at that. Strange how there's like a lag as well. Laggy. Enough of that. Now you'll notice there's a crosshair on the screen and an edge marker, and these are supposed to be aids to help you with your framing of your video. So if you want to sort of have a bleed region, you'll try to make sure your scene is captured within this inner marking, and then you can crop the rest. And it's good if you're, especially if you're using 4K video and you're producing a 1080 output, so you've got plenty to play with, so you can crop that out and make sure everything's good. If you push these buttons, it does that, but then also I've noticed if you maybe hold them down a little bit longer, you get some volume. We'll put that off for now because I don't think we want to listen to that. This is pretty much a headphone socket. I'm almost guaranteeing that, but let's try that. So I'm going to plug in this speaker into the headphone socket. Let's turn it on. Put the volume up. Hello. If we can figure out how, oh, I see. Hello. Echo. So I've worked out how this works. You actually push left first to initiate volume adjust mode and it will go that, or push right to move those cursors around. So let's just go straight into the menu. We'll go into the options that we're interested in. Color and those things are really pretty boring, but there is a color temperature. You see right here. There you go, you've got color temp, which is a little bit unusual. Language, horizontal position, vertical position, OSD timeout, transparency. Transparency may well affect those on-screen elements such as those cropping marks and crosshairs, so that could be nice to know. 16:9, 4:3 or automatic modes in here. These screen markers, you've seen them on the other screen and the center markers. Left to right, up and down, this is mirror and flipping. So I can try to show you an example of that. Okay. So there's your mirroring and there's your flipping, or a combination of both perhaps. Let's see if I can get it back now. There we go. And then the sound menu is pretty much just the volume. So all in all, a very groovy unit. Okay. Sorry, I'm just getting mesmerized. Mesmerized. Look at that, mesmerizing. A lot of fun. So all in all, yeah, good unit. I think it will suit your needs. I've tried it with the remote controls that I thought would really work on it, because this is identical to one I've got before and nada. So they're not compatible. So if you do want a remote control, make sure you buy one with the remote control with it, because your off-the-shelf ones probably won't work. One thing I have noticed that's very irritating, I'll have to double check this, but I was flicking through the source button here, and when I went off HDMI mode, my video camera actually knocked itself out of record. So it's almost as if the camera is using the HDMI connection as a signal for its record mode. And that's probably a legitimate function because it's probably in some modes using an external monitor to trigger starting and stopping recording. So that's something to be aware of, because if you knock that off and your camera stops recording, you'll have no idea that it's done that. So anyway, don't turn your monitor off while you're using it in the field. So how else would you see this little flashing red light in the corner, hey? So if you're interested in getting one, that's the BSY703 field monitor. They do several other variants, and let me know how you get on. Please feel free to leave your comments down below, and you can click subscribe if you want to be updated when I make new videos. As ever, thank you for watching.